The following is a presentation of the Matt Talk Podcast Network.
Back from Thanksgiving. Oh yeah, whole lot of fun. I saw a fish house parade in Aiken, Minnesota. What did you do on your Black Friday? It's Giving Tuesday, and I want to implore you to consider contributing to the Matt Talk Podcast Network. This is more than just podcasts. This show, Short Time Shots, is just a glimpse of what type of news I provide for free to the wrestling community at an almost daily basis. Why almost daily? I got a wife and kids, too. I got to see them at some point. At the end of each episode, I normally make a plug about contributing, and this show and the Daily Wrestling Newsletter is a value-for-value model. If you find it of value and worthwhile to you, consider making a one-time or a small monthly contribution to what you think this show is worth to you. If you like it just fine and feel like you're spending enough on wrestling subscriptions or online offerings, that's absolutely fine. I understand the situation a lot of us are in. If you think this is actually worth something more than your time, hey, give that a shot too. You can modify your contribution at any time. Go to MattTalkOnline.com/contribute to see the various ways you can help out. I've got a staff of 10 fingers. Dad jokes. Thanks to Pat Fitzgerald, Trent Kroll, John McCarty, and Craig Scharer for their contributions already this Tuesday. That's the perk you get, too. You get a shout-out. That's it for the sales pitch, because this is Short Time Shots, a mostly daily recap of the scores and more in and around the world of wrestling. I'm Jason Bryant, and in the morning, I'm off to Canada. In case you're wondering, yes, I am announcing the Canadian Olympic trials this weekend. They hold them in December. They're in Niagara Falls, which is actually another city on the other side in Canada, too. There are two Niagara Falls for you people who are not down with the New York geographical region. Yeah, Niagara Falls. Yeah, that's actually south of where I live, by the way. Yes, I'm going to Canada, which is north of the U.S., but it is south of where I live. Why do they set the team so early? Well, I'll have an investigative expose, the world in crisis. Double gold star if you can catch that reference. Holy goodness, that's a dig. That's a dig. I'd say Mount Union was pretty pumped about their win on Tuesday. The Purple Raiders social media accounts quickly tagged me on Twitter at Jason M. Bryant to let me know number 6 Mount Union beat number 7 Baldwin Wallace 31-9 in the Jackets' own home gym. Mount Union head coach Josh Malave with quite the conundrum, having to X out the M in Mount Union's name all week. The only matchup of ranked foes saw Jordan James, ranked number 1 at 141 pounds for Mount Union, beat number 9 Charlie Nash 11-4. Lenny Reese, you get a shout-out as well. Elsewhere in the Ohio Athletic Conference, number 21 John Carroll picked up its first shutout in 3 years, topping the Fighting Muskies of Muskingum 43-0. Fastest fall of the night came at 165, where Canton, Ohio native Luke Rakoski picked up the fall in 64 seconds. Otterbein improved to 5-2 on the season after beating Ohio Northern 30-15. Top-ranked heavyweight Drew Casper picked up another W at 285 for the Cardinals, improving to 14-0 on the season and registering his 6th fall of the year. And while I'd like to give Mount Union the graphic on Twitter and Instagram, that honor will go to Division II Kentucky Wesleyan. The Panthers won its first duel in school history, topping NAIA Midway 26-19 in Midway, Kentucky. Last year, Kentucky Wesleyan went 0-10 in its maiden season. Karis Washington's fall at 285 sealed the deal. Sticking with some Division II action, University of Indianapolis, they're the Greyhounds, beat Urbana 48-0. In the NAIA, Williams Baptist beat Hannibal LaGrange 39-15. Anyone else of the age where you get ZZ Top stuck in your head anytime you hear the name Hannibal LaGrange? Or just LaGrange? No? Anyway, the Eagles picked up 5 falls in the American Midwest Conference win. In an odd scheduling note, there were 2 women's duels initially scheduled on Tuesday, but the North Central UW-Stevens Point duel was moved to February 18th, and the Emmanuel McHenry duel was canceled, which you can actually spell with 1 L or 2. Canceled, C-A-N-C-E-L-L-E-D. See? I didn't get the red underline when I typed. Wait, you can't actually see that. Notables on the docket for tomorrow. Division II Lander will host its first duel in school history as the Bearcats welcome another first-year program. Fellow Division II member and conference mate Mount Olive. Mount Olive won its first duel as a program last week, and this will be the first time Lander is actually wrestling in a dual meet ever. Kentucky Wesleyan will try to win 2 in a row as they visit NAIA Thomas More. And no, there will not be any more Elizabeth Shue references. Well, okay, there might be. In Division 3, we have 5 duels involving teams from D3, and all 5 of them are in-state battles. Pitt Bradford faces Teal, that's in Pennsylvania. Southern Virginia faces the new NJCAA program at Southwest Virginia Community College in Virginia. Fontbonne takes on Westminster in Missouri. NAI Lincoln faces Milliken in Illinois. And UW-Stevens Point takes on UW-Platteville. Those schools in Minnesota's bordering neighbor of Wisconsin. Gotcha. The NAI follows suit, at least for the most part, as Truett-McConnell faces Life, Georgia. Central Christian takes on Ottawa, Kansas, and Arizona Christian faces Embry-Riddle, Arizona. Grandview, Iowa, and Baker, Kansas, got to screw it up by being from different states. Fontbonne and Westminster are scheduled to go there on the women's side as well, while St. Mary, Kansas, heads to wrestle Missouri Valley, Missouri. Marshall, a nice community. From the Daily Wrestling News, the University of Iowa announced on Tuesday that 4-time All-American Brandon Sorensen has begun undergoing treatment for acute lymphoblastic leukemia. There are numerous outlets with information on this, including the Daily Iowan, Track Wrestling, the Cedar Rapids Gazette, the Quad City Times, and basically any news outlet in the state of Iowa. After this kind of news, there really isn't much I want to promote here today. Thoughts are with Sorensen, his family, and the entire Iowa wrestling family and community. That involves the entire state, the region, anybody remotely close to this individual. The only good news really coming from Iowa today was the Hawkeyes did come in as the unanimous number 1 in the NWCA Division I coaches poll. Slight movement, nothing major. No major changes in the NJCAA team rankings, as Western Wyoming is still number 1 there. From the Asbury Park Press, Rutgers head wrestling coach Scott Goodale gives a mighty endorsement for the football program, bringing back Greg Schiano as the head football coach. Apparently, Goodale was a pretty good tosser of the old pigskin back in high school. Not quite like Uncle Rico, but good. Cuban Olympic medalist Alexis Vila was sentenced to 15 years in prison for his role in arranging a murder. Yikes. Yeah, we've covered that a little bit here in the Daily Wrestling News. Yikes. Just seriously, say it again. Yikes. Cronkite News, which we've also discussed here on the show, drops another solid wrestling piece. This time, Sarah Farrell profiles Marley Smith, the lone woman on the Arizona State wrestling team. There's even a quote from your sometimes humble host. That's me. The Cuban Greco-Roman team is leaving Iran, according to the Mer News Agency. The Cubans were training in the run-up to the Greco-Roman World Cup, which was postponed by United World Wrestling last week. The Iranian contingent is adamant they will put on the event, passing off alleged safety concerns in the country. This was posted yesterday in the Daily Wrestling News, but since there was no shots, I repeat such info here as it bears some importance. The Japan News reports that 4-time Olympic champion Kaori Icho has not entered the All Japan Championships set for this weekend. That will effectively end her chances at winning an unprecedented 5th Olympic wrestling gold medal. She is the only human being who has ever walked the planet, this planet, to win 4 Olympic gold medals in wrestling. That is unprecedented. There's that word again. On the network, Kyle Klingman and Andy Hamilton go on the mat with the director of wrestling and the head wrestling coach on the men's side at Presbyterian College, Mark Cody. War up on the Whippeal with Jeff Upson and Greg Warnock. Chat about things related to Waynesburg Central in Western PA. And keep an eye out for a new show coming this week to the network called State of Wrestling. It'll be an organizational podcast coming from the NWCA. I'll be hosting it, and the first guest will be NWCA Executive Director Mike Moyer. We'll get a little background on the organization and provide some insight on what's happening to grow the sport there. You can get all those stories and more from Matt Talk Online's daily wrestling newsletter. Sign up for free at matttalkonline.com/news and get the day's top wrestling stories from around the world delivered to your inbox for free every single morning. That newsletter is sponsored by Resolite. I've already given you the pitch about supporting the show, and that's all I've got for you today. It's Giving Tuesday. I'd like to thank you for spending your time with me because I edited this thing way too much, so I'm going to say it now and say, I don't know. I should be editing this, but I'm not. I'm not going to edit this. Thank you for spending your time with me because you've always got time for short time. Pitt Bradford pace. Let's try that again. Pitt and UW Stevens Point. And UW Stevens Point faces UW Platteville. That is in Washington. No, I'm kidding. That's in Wisconsin. Stupid.